On a cold night at the Hakone mountain pass, an impossible battle was about to take place. A Nissan Skyline modified to the point of being nearly unrecognizable was being challenged by a Suzuki Swift. Many street racers wondered how someone driving a Suzuki out of all car brands could get that mythical R34 out of hiding, and if the Swift would even stand a chance, but this definitely did not come out of nowhere. As for this to happen, I had to battle with over 350 other rivals to earn the right to challenge this mysterious driver known as Ground Zero. A journey that tested not only my driving skills across Japan's many toge roads, but also my patience and spreadsheet reading skills? Whatever, strap yourselves in as to find out how we got here. We need to go back to where it all started to see how each and every single rival in Tokyo Extreme Racer Drift 2 was defeated using only Suzukis. And it all started with a tiny truck. When you begin your journey towards becoming a master of the Japanese mountain roads, you will learn that Suzuki is pretty well represented here, as there are 7 of them present in TXR Drift 2 in total, of which 4 are available at the start. All of these initial offerings are equally lightweight and underpowered, so you may expect something like the small but nimble Suzuki Alto to be my car of choice. But once I saw their K-Truck offering in the Suzuki Carry, I was immediately sold. So after making my decision, I gave it a funny license plate, added some power upgrades, and started my racing journey by obtaining some sponsor deals. After getting a taste of 2 cars I will not be driving for a very long time, I collected the sponsor contracts and finally headed for the track in my Carry. But not before the game greeted me with this. I just gotta love the insane metal for these sections. You see a build-up fit right? This is golden. This is golden, man. Rock and roll vibes aside, I first went to Hakone to do their time trials, where the car already performed way above expectations. Although I wasn't used to the handling yet, the car's mid-engine layout made it a surprisingly nimble choice for these early game events. And while its short stock gearbox helped here, it already proved to be too short on only my second event. But then I managed to find the Gymkhana events. These are essentially drift or time trials on a parking lot with some ginormous cones being used as gates to pass through. I would initially struggle a bit here, but once I got the hang of controlling my car at lower speeds, I was able to quickly build up some pretty fat stacks of cash. In order to not bore myself and the audience from grinding here though, I got a little bit, creative.
Subaru! 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 Look out!
That perfectly timed with the ending. Oh, that was just golden. Subaru, Subaru. Anyway, after gradually upgrading the car and completing the time trials at Hiroshima, which is already one of the most beautiful locations in the game, I was eventually confident enough to try my hand at, you know, the thing that's actually in the name of the game. The Gymkhana area I was now familiar with was a great place to practice this on, and although I was struggling to get the car to slide at first, it didn't take long before I was barging my way through these events as well. All of this practice then paid off when I entered the drift contest at the main toge stages, as even though the car was still grippier than you might want for these events, it was more than good enough to win these too. At this point, the car was equipped with nearly all the upgrades I could get, so it was finally time to try my hand at the nighttime part of the game. This is where you will be able to battle with, or as Genki likes to call it, the vast majority of this game's rivals, which serves as your main form of progression. However, it turned out that my K-Truck was already so well tuned that the of opponents basically translated into just styling on them. Fucking timing! Oh no! Why was that timed so well? As I got past the first few rivals, I was getting more and more confident that this Suzuki carry was the right choice. Even when I was presented with some stronger opponents like this Nissan Fairlady Z, the K-Truck stood strong, winning purely thanks to its low weight and the ability to keep a lot of momentum through the corners. Then, in order to further boost this dominance, I also found out that this car has a body kit, which fits the car so well that I bought it on the spot. There is also a racing wing which gets placed on, the roof? No idea if and how this would work in real life, so if you have more knowledge on car aerodynamics than me, I would be very interested to know more about this. But funky car modding aside, I was gradually introduced to more features like cruise, which are just multiple battles in a row, and off-road sections, which the game kind of depicts as roadworks. I sure hope it does. But it was nothing that the carry couldn't handle. I also stumbled upon a fellow K-Truck driver using a Daihatsu Midget, who was providing even more proof why this thing should not be underestimated, as it gave me a pretty good battle. This rapid rise up the ranks then granted me access to Hakone Nanamagari, one of this game's short courses. These stages are only available during the day and in dry weather and provide an additional set of rivals to beat, and as we'll find out later, unlocking these is vital to complete the game. After having some more fun in the carry by throwing it around what is essentially just a long string of hairpins, I would continue my win streak when shifting gears into the nighttime races, even when faced with changing weather conditions. All of this would eventually get the attention of the top driver of Hakone, which Genki ominously calls a slasher for some reason. But before I headed back into the night to accept their challenge, I found a rather peculiar car sitting in Nanamagari's parking lot. One off. Sponsor? Oh, I can actually use that car. So this Golf R32 was not an opponent, but was actually a sponsorship offer. I quickly accepted it and took the car for a spin, and with relatively little effort, I claimed the contract. This turned out to be a very good idea, trademark, because the payouts are almost a full order of magnitude better than what I originally had. But funding was something I didn't have to worry about for now. I first had that slasher to beat, who arrived in the parking area in a souped up Mitsubishi FTO. And once the race started, I did get a bit worried as it quickly pulled away from me. But that speed is worth nothing if you can't carry it through a corner, so I quickly caught back up, dove up the inside and took the lead. And after a couple of pretty sketchy moments and the slasher almost catching back up to me near the end, I simply had to keep it consistent towards the finish line, completing my first boss fight and unlocking the second stage. Now, every time you defeat a slasher, you unlock a bunch of new stuff, like new sponsors, upgrades and cars. And among those new cars, there was one that I really wanted to get. Of course, I am talking about the Giga Chino. After this car carried me through multiple Gran Turismo games, it was time to see what it could do in a game made by Genki. And now that I was reunited with my beloved K-car, it was time to find out why they decided to not make this a starter car. It is time to roll the montage. Like, look at the way it just drifts around corners as well like that. It's super stable. It's so effortless, like the way it just like glides around these like hairpins. Oh my god, the high speed stability, man. Okay, yeah, this car's gonna destroy everything. Carbon bonnet, let's give it everything. Carbon bonnet, and carbon. Now she should be insane. Oh, it's actually even more grippy now. Oh, the cornering speed there. Yeah, you can see this is so much better. On the outside we go, and into the inside we overtake him. There we go. Late on the brakes, into the turn. And up on the inside we go, and we're fast again. They gotta keep it fast on the outside like that, and we're on the end. On the funnel down. And it's swerving over to the left. This car demolished everything that was in the drift event, thanks to the car's cornering grip being so comically good that it probably emulated a small Formula car. I decided to repurpose the Suzuki Carry as a drift car, and with this dynamic duo of Suzukis, I steamrolled my way through the 3 new stages of Haruna, Akagi and Uraroko. And it didn't take long for the game's second slasher to notice me, of which our Lady has a slight resemblance to Ryan Cooper's 240SX from Pro Street. The Cappuccino then further asserted its dominance by making light work of this race, as in less than 2 minutes I won the battle on distance, giving me my second big win so far. This then granted me access to another set of sponsor contracts, and some of the ones I got now contain an event type which the game abbreviates as a CAT event. But once you play them, you must be thinking they made a typo with naming these tests, as they are more like, oh wow, okay. Yeah. These challenges are similar to the standard daytime drift challenges, where you simply need to hit the target score to win. But here's the catch. Instead of getting the target score over the entire run, you have to get it per sector. And if you don't hit the target score or hit a wall, which nullifies your sector score, you immediately fail the run. The first sponsor with this type of event lends you a pretty drifty Toyota Supra, but the second one involves one of the tightest stages in the game while driving an all-wheel drive wagon. Oh, this car just doesn't drift. Okay. This car just straight up does not drift. This is already one of the most infuriating sponsor events in the game, but I luckily managed to complete it quickly before my sanity could take a nosedive. Anyway, I gave the cars the extra sponsor stickers and headed back into the night, where I would now find myself in stormy conditions for the first time. The Gigachino, of course, wins anyway, because Gigachinos don't care what humans think is impossible. This got me to perform a bunch of cool moves, even though the AI struggled a bit more on these tracks and would sometimes provide us with some Forza driver moments. But at this point, I was well on my way to beat around 50 rivals, and said rivals would now start to give me noticeably better rewards, ranging from new upgrades to just straight up giving me cars like this Daihatsu Midget. Perhaps Dove could put this to good use. This was the time I started to struggle on the straights, however, since my cars are only equipped with small turbocharged 3-cylinder engines. But with the stages still being twisty enough and thanks to my overwhelming grip advantage, I was able to keep winning in style. And before you know it, the third slasher residing at Mount Akina would challenge me for a duel. Sadly, it's not a white A86 or yellow RX-7, but the rally-inspired Lancer Evo that was chosen instead is still a pretty formidable opponent. After my now customary slow start, I only needed 2 corners to build up the momentum and handsomely pass him in just 20 seconds. That power deficit did start to slowly creep up on me here though, as my opponents kept up very well and even attempted a pass on me that you really just can't be mad about. I then sensed an opportunity to pull away, and thanks to some swift driving, I would defeat the slasher in just over 2 minutes. And once that was done, the third stage was unlocked. That happiness was then cut short by the appearance of another CAT sponsor event, which was on the all-new and pretty tight Shigakusatsu stage. Now, they did at least give you a rear-wheel drive car for this, but it was most definitely not the best drift car. After only 4 minutes though, I somehow managed to beat it thanks to quite literally edging out of the drift zones. Okay, that was very close, but I got it. Okay, I'll take that. This was only one of the 3 new routes though, as this stage also provides access to Omoteroko and Nikko, both containing a variety of fast and narrow sections, with the latter even having its long sequence of hairpins similar to Nanamagari. I was now also able to bring the power figures of both of my cars in the triple digits, and thanks to the assistance from some of my viewers, we managed to build an even better drift machine out of the carry, easily smashing the drift goals of the daytime drift events, and once I switched back to the Cappuccino, the time trials were also quickly taken care of. Once it became nighttime, however, it wasn't just rainy. The game also decided to throw some of those off-road sections back into the mix, which made for some deceptively difficult combos. For example, there was a drift event at Omoteroko against a pretty rapid Celica, and since you also have to be quicker than your opponent in these, it turned out to be a pretty tough hybrid event. The rest of the opponents weren't too difficult to beat, however, and I didn't have to do much more to find myself in a duel with Eternal Wanderer, the slasher of the Akagi Mountain Pass. Unbeknownst to my rival, however, this display of K-car dominance was not going to stop anytime soon.
I was passing inside there, keeping myself patient. Still there. Oh god. Almost fucked up there, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Slasher number 4 has been defeated.
After I received the name of Breakout Blockhead, of which I have absolutely no idea what it's supposed to mean, I had now defeated over 100 opponents. And thanks to unlocking even more upgrades, I continued to destroy every rival I encountered, regardless of location, time, or road condition. I also found a driver that was totally not inspired by Takumi from Initial D. However, this streak of dominant wins would then come to a halt, as I encountered a particularly difficult drift event at Nikko. At first, I thought this was another routine job for the carry, but the lack of speed was now really starting to become a problem. Either we're getting good amounts of points, like we don't even get close in terms of the time. I think there's no way I can beat him in terms of time. Oh, there's even a long range, that's actually not a long straight over here, yeah. No matter how hard I tried, the carries simply seemed to be too slow to be able to properly beat this rival, so I had to get a bit more creative. Since the Cappuccino was significantly faster in the corners, I decided to simply make a chain of rapid drifts while still getting enough drift points, as 15,000 points in only 6 zones is definitely not the easiest thing when you have to be this quick. This was initially very difficult until I found out that money shifting the car sends it into a violent but rapid slide that was perfect to keep enough momentum. And so, after a few more failed runs and completely ruining my Cappuccino's gearbox, I finally got the exact line I needed out of the last turn to claim another victory. There we go, come on, this opportunity, come on, let's pass him! Stay by me, please. Yes, there we go. The strat has been found, and we have managed to succeed with the strat. The Gigachino has won again. After apologizing to the car, this did turn out to be a sign of things to come. Although the twistier courses remain my personal stomping grounds, some of the drift races became consistently more difficult. Some duels would also take longer thanks to that power disadvantage, but for now I held on just fine, even when Alchemist, the 5th slasher in the game, called me out for a duel. In fact, their NSX stood no chance against the might of the Gigachino, handsomely outmaneuvering it in less than 45 seconds. And there we go. Within 43 seconds we beat the slasher. 43 seconds. This good fortune would then continue as I clean up the rest of the third stage in style, and after doing another one of these horrible CAT events, goodness, the understeer, I was challenged by a slasher who, in my opinion, has one of the coolest intro shots and best looking boss cars in the game. Those looks weren't just for show though, as for once I had a formidable opponent chasing me all the way down the Omote Roko mountain pass. You can do that insane flick again like last time. Okay, a bit later this time, but we still kinda did it. And across the line. There it is. And with that, I would already claim victory over my 6th slasher of the playthrough. But as I was celebrating my victory and concluded the third stage, my notoriety was slowly starting to be recognized by the fastest and most dangerous rivals of the Japanese mountains.
You're seeing that guy in the Suzuki? The speed he's carrying. And the drifts. How's he doing all of that?
Seems like we got a new challenger on our hands. A reliable source told me it's the same guy who conquered circuit racing a while back, with the same Suzuki he's driving now.
That's some determination, but there's no need to worry. Dedication and willpower won't save him from a harsh reality check.
Before entering the 4th stage, I gave my cars a new set of improvements, but despite the fact that the Cappuccino now had around 120 brake horsepower, it still couldn't break 100 miles per hour on the straights. But since my cars had fully conquered all roads they had seen so far, surely this won't be a big issue, right? Well, once I started with the new sponsor races, the very first car I was given, which was this R32 Skyline with a diabolical power figure, was able to exceed this speed by a concerning margin. Oh god, this car's quick. Oh god, this car's quick. Oh no. What is this stage, man? Holy crap, this looks so much different again from the rest. Now, when looking at this sponsor race, you may already notice a few potential problems. Stage 4 grants access to the courses at Zhao and Aso, and the main difference here is that they allow for much higher top speeds, often combining long straights with big braking zones. They are also set in snowy regions, which translates into having to deal with even more slippery conditions once the skies open up. Despite this, I naively continued as if everything was going to be fine, and as I entered the daytime events, this was indeed the case as my cars made quick work of them. And victory. And then it became nighttime. Oh Jesus Christ, they're so quick. No, 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 no! Oh my god, I actually won, I think. Here he comes. Bonk. And over 100 miles per hour easily. There we go. On the new stages, the very first team I encountered was a team consisting of just Honda NSX drivers, with power figures that would now start to get way out of my league. And with the track layout no longer being in my favor, my worries of the lack in horsepower were starting to become a reality. After this crew completely destroyed me a bunch of times, this was only the beginning of my struggles, culminating into a battle with a rival called Wailing Phoenix, who raced in an RX-7 that completely dumpstered me for 15 minutes straight. We need to go faster now though. I need to find a way to pass before my SP starts to drain too much. Around the outside we go. There we go. That's what we needed. Even here on the corner, he's just so much quicker than me. I don't care, I won. There we go. Screw you. It took me like 20 minutes to complete, but that was dumb. This painful night of racing seriously questioned my confidence in this run. The combination of faster courses and stronger opponents showed that my cars, as they were right now, simply won't cut it anymore. And with no more upgrades left to buy, I started thinking. And a few days later, I had an idea. Let me ask you this question: if you're in need of more straight line speed without being able to increase the power or decrease the weight, what is one of the other things you could try? If you're a bit familiar with vehicle tuning, this should quickly lead you to adjusting your car's downforce, so I decided to test this out on a Suzuki Alto in the game's free play mode. And what I found was pretty shocking. Now, the reason why I cannot stop accelerating now is because the tuning is a bit short, like the gearing is a bit short. See, because it can even do way faster, so this is a massive difference. Now, I know that less downforce should give you more straight line speed, but gaining 15 extra miles per hour by just removing the wing, that's pretty crazy. But what really stood out was when you are running no downforce upgrades at all. Once I tested this, the car now reached nearly 140 miles per hour or 225 kilometers per hour in a car with only 140 brake horsepower, which could be vital on these higher speed tracks that I was being tested on. So once I got back into the run, I nuked my Gigachino's wing downforce and the results were immediately visible. Granted, it now no longer had the insane levels of cornering stability from before, but this is a worthy price to pay for having so much more straight line speed, something which allowed me to once again consistently win some races. Oh, and by this time I unlocked 2 new short courses, Usui and Miyogi-san. Usui is the shortest track in the game and is a mostly flat course covered by a bunch of trees, while Miyugi-san is a more hilly and technical track. The opponents were nothing to really write home about, but hey, a bit of a briefer at this stage was more than welcome. Now, even though the 2 cars I used so far could bring me just a bit further into the game, I wasn't really interested in running into any more problems in the future. So with all of the stacks of cash I built up at this point, I went on to build the next generation of toge-ripping Suzukis. And some Grem lights on gold. Yeah, some gold on Grem lights, actually. Well, I quite like this. What do you guys think? The gold on the side like this? Because I quite like it. I'm taking this. I need the rally kits for more stability anyway. Carbon bonnet. And then carbon. Yeah, we're gonna make it as light as possible. 575 kilos, by the way. Alright. Blue it is. Oh, I like that. I like that. Oh, yeah. The Alto is ready. And with that, my arsenal of toge machines have been doubled. Meet the Speedy Chino and Giga Alto, 2 of my finest creations so far, complete with liveries and, unlike the first 2 cars, a significant reduction in downforce to maximize their straight line speed. But as I was driving towards my next set of victories... That boss! Oh, that's just unfair. I would catch the attention of the 2 main street racing groups of the TXR universe, the 13 Devils and Kingdom 12. These would make me have to revisit some of the earlier courses to battle them, as they will become very important for progressing through the later stages of the game. And not long after that, I was also challenged by 2 new slashers. The Shiga Kusatsu one was up first, and with a very atmospheric introduction and the appropriate name of New Moon, the Speedy Chino was able to stay ahead of the Nissan Skyline. Even though they kept it to a pretty close battle, partially thanks to my lack of keeping the car pointing in the right direction, I managed to wrangle it through some of the track's longer and more winding turns, leading to another clear victory for Team Suzuki, which unlocked another set of all-important power upgrades. in between the two slashers, I also encountered an opponent named Downhill Dinosaur. We do not talk about Downhill Dinosaur. Look how close that was to the walls. Hold on. This is the line I needed. You cannot be closer to the walls than that. After that painfully difficult interlude, it was time to challenge the 8th slasher called True Champion. Although the Nickel stage features some very twisty sections in its first 3 quarters of the downhill run, the last part mostly consists of high-speed sections. So if I wanted to ensure I can defeat the slasher who used this monster of an Audi RS6, I would have to defeat it fast. So that's exactly what I did.
It's so much faster in the corners. This was the right choice to make here. He's not outrunning him though. Surprisingly quick in this section. Conclude. We win.
With True Champion defeated, I had now defeated all slashers of the first 3 stages, and as soon as the word spread that they had all fallen thanks to a few silly looking Suzukis, I would finally draw the attention of one of the game's final bosses. At this time, I had also mostly transitioned to the Suzuki Alto, as it's a lot more stable thanks to it being front-wheel drive and therefore didn't feel as negatively affected as the Cappuccino when downforce is out of the question. And since it was also snowing on the night of the race, I needed as much stability as I could possibly get, so the Alto was going to be my car of choice here. So with all preparations in place and me and my Alto ready to rise to the top, get it because Alto means high, whatever, I was ready to battle Yeti Fang, also known as the Absolute Emperor.
Alright then, here goes nothing. Aw, oh, come on. Oh, the timing on that pass was perfect. Yeah, try passing me, man. Try passing me, man. Oh, but I have to really push here. He's still facing me. Oh. Okay, I had no grip into that turn. He passed me right back on the straight. The repass, come on! Instant repass, instant. Two threats for the track now. But the understeer is horrible on this card. Okay, 1.5 miles to go. Just over 3 kilometers. This final part is all high speed, by the way. That's 1/4 mile. Last turn. Let's go, we got it. Ooh, close finish though. Close finish. In what I can only describe as an epic battle down the mountain, the Absolute Emperor had been overthrown, making me the new champion of Zao. The game then gives you some inspiring words, and once that's done, you see the credits screen and think the challenge is done, right? Well, if you've played any Genki racing game before, or just look at the length of this video, it should be quite obvious that there is one more final stage, which also unlocks the Hokkaido course, a completely unique rally stage consisting almost exclusively of dirt and gravel roads. Also, as a side note, remember those hard rock sessions from earlier, as well as some of the music you hear in the background? Well, it turns out that Daiki Kasho, the same guy from Gran Turismo's music, actually made some music for this game too. But now that I think of it, this isn't actually too surprising considering the similarity to something like, yeah, close enough. Anyway, with a new stage, you of course unlock a few new daytime events, and this time one of the advanced races was restricted to all-wheel drive cars. Although all Suzukis I've used so far are 2-wheel drive ones, my favorite car brand has got me covered here once again, as they offer an all-wheel drive also as well. So after almost buying one, then realizing I already received one of these from a rival I had beaten earlier, I gave it all available upgrades and... hold on a second. When you compare the power figures between this and the others, I noticed something strange. Why is it still slower? Okay, that's actually crazy. This car has the most power. This car then has the most power. For some very odd reason, despite having the same base power output as the other Suzuki K cars, the all-wheel drive Alto somehow managed to have a bit more upgrade potential than the rest. And although this may not look like much, it could just be the difference I need for a few upcoming races. Also, this blue color gave me an idea. What is like a good Subaru blue? We're gonna make a Subi. We're gonna make a Subi color out of this. Oh my god, what am I doing? This is gonna be so cursed. I can already feel it. Oh my god. Oh no, this is actually going to work. This is definitely like a Temu Subaru now. Look at it. Look at it. It's angry. It's angry and it's ready to go. And with that, the Suzuki rally car was born. With my expectations being quite high as it was my best creation so far, I took it to the Hokkaido rally stage for that all-wheel drive event. But it became clear that this car was going to require a bit of tuning first. Sure, it was pretty quick, but it was also pretty unstable at higher speeds and at basically any bump you could find. The front-wheel drive also, on the other hand, was able to do this. Although, hold up a second, guys. I think this may actually be better than the all-wheel drive one, now that I'm looking at this. Yeah, this car's faster. Sorry to bring it to everyone who liked that Subaru livery, but this car is just better. This car is straight up better. Whee! And even on the jumps, look at that. Super stable. So I wasn't convinced by the Suzuki's performance yet. But once I challenged Miracle Summit, the king of the Aso Mountain Pass, that opinion quickly changed. This is because the start of a race features an uphill straight, and considering my power disadvantage, you can see where this is going. Ooh, that's gonna be tough. He's gonna brake here? Oh, that's a problem. That's a problem. As shown by the instant loss before even reaching the first turn, the only car that could potentially win this event was the all-wheel drive Suzuki. But in order to stand a chance, I had to really optimize my tuning for it. The car was very snappy and had some very unpredictable driving behavior. So after once again getting the support from my audience, we started to cook up something better for the Suzuki. And if I have to be honest here, this was the kind of cooking that will make Gordon Ramsay proud. Okay, that actually at least helped the off-roading part. So I can see it, yeah. Oh, it's understeering like hell right now. Oh, whoa, okay. See, it can oversteer, but it can also understeer. I think we just need to tune the, yeah, they just need to be lower. It seems to have actually worked, making the LSD less stiff. I mean, lowering the spring rate is not the only thing that's left, I think. You see, it does function much better now. Yeah, it's much better now. It is visibly better, okay. After tuning the Suzuki to perfection, I decided to challenge some of the other opponents first so I would get used to the handling characteristics of this wannabe Impreza. Unlike last time, the car was now a lot better to drive, even in Hokkaido, and the proof was in the results as I went on to make light work of all the new opponents I could find. So, now that I regained a healthy boost of confidence again, it was time to prove that dedication and a well-crafted setup will outlast even the most powerful machines on these Japanese mountain roads. Oops. Up kids, here we go. Get out of here. Oh, try and pass me. Try and pass me. Oh, dude, I can actually beat him here. 84 yards already. Oh man, I'm really pushing it. Oh, bit on the stair. Final stretch. Come on, go, go, go. I think we got it. Come on, one more turn. Let's go, come on. Oh, that was good. That was good. After that close race, the Miracle Summit was defeated, proving that this car was now the fastest Suzuki in my garage. In fact, the car was so good that it even made quick work of the nighttime drift events, which were often problematic in the past. But now that I was truly in the endgame, a bunch of things would start to change. For example, I now had to pay attention to specific weather and weekday combinations, as some rivals and events will only appear when specific conditions are met. So to make this easier, I bought all the dolls, which allow you to fix the weather to a certain type. But aside from finding the remaining rivals and slowly making my way towards the true ending, there was one thing more important than all of this. You see, I may have used all the K-car Suzuki has to offer, except for this K-Works, which is basically just the same as a front-wheel drive Alto, but there were still two cars I had yet to unlock, and both of these are the only non-K cars from Suzuki in Tokyo Extreme Racer Drift 2. These are the Swift Sport, also known as the Ignis outside of Japan, and the Ignis Super 1600 rally car. But since customizing pre-built race cars is very limited, my sights will be set on the road-going Swift. Now, it's already insane that such a car, which has only 110 brake horsepower stock, isn't even unlocked yet. It was until I looked up a guide on how to actually unlock it that my brain was about to explode, as it showed a whole laundry list of opponents you have to defeat. I could lay it out in front of you right now, but to save you the migraine-inducing amount of backtracking I had to do for this, the gist of it is that I would have to unlock the Yokohama short course, defeat one of the crews present there, then unlock and defeat a driver called Hakone King. It also turned out that unlocking all of the short courses to get there and defeating everyone present in them is a requirement to reach the final boss, so this would have been necessary anyway. So once my plan was fully laid out and I knew where to look, all that was left for me to do was to let the search for the illustrious Suzuki Swift begin.
5 in the morning, ghost of you, still lingers in my room, but you're nowhere to be found, and I can't get you out of my head. Forget what I had now, memories of what made us do.
That's a different stage. That's a short course, but it's not the one I need. That is a short course, but it's the wrong short course. Wow, that is like such a huge chain. Holy crap, this is a mess. This is There we go, guys. Executioner wheels and tail gunner. Finally, I can challenge these guys. Holy crap. That took hours. That took hours to find. And come to Yokohama. Finally unlocked it. Finally unlocked Yokohama. It took 3.5 hours. But we finally got it. It's there. Yeah, yo moment. There he is, guys. There he is. There we go, that's how you take that first corner. Hakone King, there he is, finally! It took me over 4 hours tonight. There he finally is. We're about to unlock the car I've been waiting for 4.5 hours into the stream tonight. Alright guys, I think we're finally there. Oh my god, guys. It's finally over. There it actually is. Suzuki HT 515 Swift Sport now on sale. Oh my god, it's finally here. It's finally here. And there it finally was, the Suzuki Swift Sport. I really can't stress this enough, the fact that this car is locked until you are this far into the game where you can build cars with over 800 horsepower is quite ridiculous. For my Suzuki collection, however, this might be the last piece of the puzzle to complete the game. So I didn't hesitate to buy it in its iconic yellow color, and after giving it a very fitting license plate, I immediately got to work on building the ultimate road legal toge machine from Suzuki. Once I was done upgrading, the car would have more than double the amount of power compared to the K-cars I would normally drive, while only weighing a few hundred kilograms more. And thanks to the car now having a full body kit and racing wing, as the higher power output allows me to sacrifice a bit of that top speed again, it would also be way more stable at those higher speeds. But once I wanted to give this car a bit of a tune-up, it turned out that this car had a very special secret. Wait. Is this car all-wheel drive? Huh? Guys, it's front-wheel drive. Why can I go into the settings? And why can I change the torque balance? I need to test this. Okay, what if I do on and I do 100% rear? Let's see if it's gonna have rear wheel drive now. If it has, that would be so broken. I am speechless. It is rear wheel drive. It is 100% rear wheel drive. You can see this car is rear wheel drive now. This car's broken. This car is genuinely broken. For some reason, someone at Genki managed to sneak a variable center differential into this otherwise front-wheel drive car, allowing you to freely set the power delivery between the front and rear tires. This singular item massively increases the car's potential. You can set it to all-wheel drive for most situations, especially for Hokkaido, and if there's a drift event, you can simply increase the power delivery to the rear wheels. Oh, and did I mention that this car clocked over 170 miles per hour, so over 270 kilometers per hour on the test course without aero? Yeah, the car from the intro wasn't here to play around, and together with what I can now easily call the final form of Suzuki's in TXR Drift 2, it was time to lock in. And that's in a street like this, nothing can really beat a Suzuki Swift. On the inside, there we go. Oh, it actually drifts even better now. Jesus Christ, I'm getting so many points here. This is a pretty difficult track for this car, speed-wise. We've got him already outside. There we go. Okay, it's very bad in the corners. That was it. That was literally it. Oh my god, that was literally the race. This Suzuki was the one to rule them all. Completing all of these races on a whim, even buying a second one to specifically use for drift racing, got me all that much closer to the game's true finale. And speaking of which, let's actually have a look at what the finale looks like, as this game has a bunch of exceedingly fast rivals who I like to call the Elite Four, obviously taken from Pokemon's equivalent, which, once defeated, will lead you to the true final boss in the game, a driver known as the Emotional King, which is actually the player from the previous game. In order to reach them, however, you have to fulfill an even more ridiculous list of requirements than what I had to do for my beloved Swift. First off, you need to have at least a certain amount of fans. This is something you simply get by racing, so thankfully, this one's a freebie. Then there's the required trophies, which you obtain from the previously mentioned advanced races and from certain rivals. This is where my problems really begin, as out of the 40 trophies in the game, about a third of them are completely inaccessible while only driving Suzukis. They either require an impossibly high weight or engine displacement, and a good chunk of them are simply limited to a specific manufacturer. So for these events, I had no other choice than to drive something that was not a Suzuki. First up was a Mitsubishi one-make event, for which I used the I then used a bunch of other cars I had collected from Pink Slip victories to either use them directly or trade them in for a required vehicle, which led to quite a set of interesting builds, from this chunky Toyota Ist to a very sporty Honda Beat, and even this rare Mazda MX-5 variant, which we dubbed the Baby Viper due to its surprisingly similar looks. These cars quickly helped me increase my trophy count, which then enabled me to hop right back into the Swift to defeat the opponents across all of the new short courses I would unlock. This is where the game really hides some of its hidden gems in terms of contents, as all of these short courses are awesome in their own unique ways. From the snowballed roller coaster of Yuki no Otani to a sort of miniature Akina course at Kirigamine, I had a ton of fun exploring all of these, which suddenly made the otherwise tedious endgame a lot more fun to get through. Going back to the cars, one of the craziest things I had built was this Volkswagen Golf R32 with over 600 horsepower, effectively building upon the already powerful HPA tuned version, as I needed both a European car and a heavy car. This thing was actually so fast that I finally experienced proper tire degradation, something which I never had to deal with up until this point, as the Suzukis are incredibly friendly on their tires and brakes. And to top it all off, I also ended up with an awesome body kit for the yellow Evo and R41 Skyline, the latter of which resembling a super silhouette car. And then, after all of that racing, as I entered the Hokkaido parking lot on a grim and stormy night, I would finally find the driver I had been looking for all this time. Bunta Fujinoki, the first of the aforementioned Elite Four. With a ludicrously powerful GC Impreza and being a not so subtle reference to Bunta from the initial D series, the end was finally in sight. Whiz very quick. No more playing around. Never prepared camera. Up the inside, let's go. Driving significantly more careful than I usually do. I can really not see anything. Oh, no, that was bad. Allow him to get past. That was my bad. Inside, there we go. This is genuine. Now it's becoming really difficult. Getting there. Come on, just one more stretch. Oh, don't screw it up here. There it is. That is very intense. Oops. I accidentally saved it back. I pressed F4, but I pressed the wrong button. Oops. Well, looks like we gotta do it again. That's okay. I don't care. I'm doing it again. I genuinely don't care. Let's do it again. Oh, he's gonna pass me. Whee! Okay, that's gonna be a cool shot for the replay if I win this. There we go. Easy to pass him in the corner. Really powering the car for the turns right now. Oh. This was like way quicker than last time. Yep, there we go. With what is probably one of the coolest races in the run, the Suzuki Swift stood strong and was able to outmaneuver the much more powerful Impreza, giving me some much needed confidence and cash as these races now start to give out ludicrous amounts of prize money. But this was only the first out of 4 I had to beat, and High Empress was up next, who brought an even more powerful R34 Skyline. Additionally, since we were now racing in clear conditions, it became even more difficult to keep up as it made my opponent struggle a lot less. That didn't particularly mean it wasn't challenged though. Once I had the momentum on my side, I was able to squeeze my way up the inside, after which the winding turns made it light work for me to stay up ahead and keep a nice gap, leading me to now defeat half of the Elite 4 so far. Let's go! When I returned to Hokkaido to face the third driver, however, I was met with the chairman of the Kingdom 12 racing team, the Kaido president himself. Don't let his unassuming Genki-sponsored S2000 fool you. It's not only all-wheel drive, but also contains a ridiculous amount of power, which pairs very well with its lower weight than the 2 drivers I had faced so far. This guy is often regarded as the fastest rival in the entire game, full stop. So if I ever wanted to complete the challenge, this race was the true make or break moment. And once the race began, I started struggling. Badly. Even though that's not the case. Look how much faster he is, holy shit. He just pulls. Oh my god, I lost some distance. I actually lost some distance, Jesus Christ. Oh, that's gonna be tough. I'm gonna have to pull my A game here. Since I wasn't planning to giving up anytime soon, I decided to play around with the setup a bit to see if that would improve results. But the long straights in the first and middle sectors simply made it impossible for me to keep up. All hope was about to be lost, but I decided to check the parts I had equipped one more time, where I found out I was literally sandbagging the car. Huh? Now I know what the problem is. The car was 250 kilos overweight. For a previous daytime race, the car had to be over 1,000 kilograms, and the Swift was able to perfectly achieve this by adding reinforcement and removing the weight reduction. But in doing so, I made the car over 200 kilograms heavier than it normally is. So after I turned it back into the Toge missile it's supposed to be, it was time for the Kaido president to be overthrown. That's way quicker now. Way more nimble too. Up the outside. Oh, don't you dare. Oh, Jesus Christ, I just got torpedoed. I'll do it right back to you, though. Nice trying to jump, though. Come on. 4 mile away. Nope. I almost threw that. Oh my god. My heart sank almost. I almost threw that at the end as well. GG. After passing it twice and almost throwing it away in the end, I managed to keep my cool and defeat a bona fide run-killing opponent, leaving me with only one more of the Elite 4, Emperor Speed, also known as Jintai. And in TXR Drift 2, he opted to put his iconic livery on a GD Impreza. Regardless of his car of choice, however, I felt like there was nothing stopping me anymore after defeating the Kaido president. Jintai would be reduced to just a speed bump on my road to the top. Up the inside, come on. Jesus Christ, that guy flew. I'll take a picture right back from you. Now, I have to be honest here, Jintai did not make it any easier than Kaido President. The side-by-side jump we had there was also one of the most epic moments in the run, and the lack of straight line speed was something I still had to be wary of. But that didn't stop me from putting up a dominant display everywhere else, and after claiming a whopping 100 million in prize money, and with no more opponents left standing in my way, I would receive the message I had been waiting for all this time. The emotional king has approached me for a battle. This guy is the true final boss of this game and drives a wingless Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 3. According to his backstory, this guy only shows up for those who have outraced everyone but himself, and winning here would mean that I would take his place as the emotional king. I could already tell that this battle was going to be a special one. Final boss. He was trying to pass me again there. This battle had a fierce start, and with a bit of fatigue kicking in after racing for so long, I was also starting to make some more mistakes. I was at least able to stay in front, but once we approached one of the track's big jumps, this battle would indeed become something special, but just not for the reason I hoped for. Here he comes. Ow. He died! He died! He died! Let's go! The emotional king has been toppled. He got desperate. There is no way. Actual cinema moment. And with that, the emotional king had fallen. The contact right before the jump caused the emotional king's car to go haywire once it landed. And since I was able to get away scot-free, I rapidly reached the distance threshold required to immediately win the battle. I tried my best to keep a safe distance, similar to when Jintai passed me in midair, but the slight instability from both of us right before the jump caused this very unfortunate collision to happen. But around these places, a win is a win, and as I watched the final cutscene in which it was revealed that this battle allowed for serious course development, whatever that means, I can now finally say that the challenge was completed. Or was it? Because once again, in true Genki fashion, there is one final secret boss. And if you remember my monologue from the introduction, that driver is listed as rival number 000, and his name is Ground Zero. There were also a few other opponents I still had to beat, but Ground Zero is definitely the most important one. If I wanted to challenge them, I would have to obtain all 40 trophies available in the game. But considering I'm only missing one of them, this shouldn't be such a big problem, right? Well, for some very strange reason, the final advance race I needed was nowhere to be found. According to some guides, this race becomes available on the first 3 days of every 4th week during rainy or stormy conditions, which by itself was already oddly specific, but every time I checked, it simply didn't appear. In order to not lose my sanity, this is where I started to do some more goofy stuff, like raising this Genki-sponsored Sylvia drift car, as well as a fully tuned Nissan Skyline and Audi RS6, the latter of which even allowing you to reach the game's speed limit. What I did not know at the time, however, is that you also need to beat rival number 340, called Forbidden Spear, to unlock the event. This is now added in the guide, but at the time I simply tried to clean up the remaining rivals, and lucky for me, I accidentally fulfilled the last remaining requirement this way. Also, when making this video, I saw that I technically broke the challenge rules here by using non-Suzuki cars to defeat a few rivals. So to fix that mistake, I hopped back into the trusty old Suzuki to beat those rivals again. Anyway, going back to the original run, after beating rival 340 and a few master events, as I somehow thought those were the key to unlocking this event, it was only a matter of time before I was greeted with this.
Oh my god, it's there. We actually found it. There's no way. We actually found it.
Obviously, I did not hesitate to join in with my overkill RS6 and collect that final trophy, completing the trophy cabinet and leaving me with no more requirements for any rival in the game. And then, after all I had been through, we arrive at the exact starting point of this playthrough and video. The mysterious Ground Zero was ready to be challenged to a downhill battle. The Skyline he drives has been modified so much that they could come straight out of Cyberpunk 2077, which should give you an idea of how fast this thing is. But now that I've finally arrived at this game's true final opponent, there was one more thing left for me to do. And that was to finally win everything. There he is, guys. Let's go. The actual true final boss. Back at the beginning of Hakone as well. He's quick though. Letting up the inside. So slow. The car is insanely quick though. There we go, got him. Oh, don't torpedo me. Go, go, go! Whoa. Already getting to the end. Good exit there. Okay, good exit, nice. Here it comes. One more turn. There he is. GG. It's actually over. The true final boss, Ground Zero, has actually been defeated in one attempt. And so, after skipping over 200 in-game days of trying to figure out how to finish this game, the challenge was practically done. There were 2 more crews which I hadn't found up until this point, of which one of them is a secret final crew that, similar to Ground Zero, appears after defeating the Emotional King, and they drive some iconic cars like the Devil Z. They did provide some resistance on the Aso mountain pass, but since the mighty Suzuki Swift and I saw faster opponents already, these were all dealt with swiftly. There it is. Boom, another crew beaten. I then also found the final 3 remaining rivals left to beat at Shigakusatsu. And since this was a team you would normally encounter much earlier in the game, it only took a few quick runs down the mountain to be able to finally say that the challenge has been completed. 2, 1, done. I'm pretty sure that was the last guy. We have to confirm it still, but let's check. Rival list. From Zero onward, from Ground Zero onwards. Let's see. 100 beaten. 200 beaten. 300 beaten. It's over. Every single opponent has been conquered. It's done. Using practically only Suzukis, I had managed to defeat all 357 rivals in the game. Of course, I did need more than just Suzukis to get those all-important trophies, and also experiment with a few different cars to not lose my sanity towards the end of the run, but the main rivals, and especially the bosses, had all fallen to my band of fully tuned Suzukis, proving once again that you should never underestimate this brand. And to give this challenge a proper send-off, I treated myself to the Ignis Rally car and cruised, by my standards, down the Haruna mountain pass for one last victory lap.
Boss, we've got a problem.
He's done already? Dang it! If only we had more time to recover from the embarrassment in the GT League.
Furi gets back here, we'll be chanceless. What do we do?
Well, you're the one who sent him to the mountains, and he enjoyed his time there too quickly, so you gotta solve this.
Pick up your phone.
Huh?
Phone ringing.
At this time of night?
Oh,
Whatever. You again? I did what you told me to do, so do I get anything in return?
I got another job. For you. It just so happened to have a spot in the C1 Grand Prix series, and you're the brand candidate. So, you're ready to return to the racetrack?
Oh, you don't have to tell me that twice. And don't even bother about providing me with anything, as this time, one car is all I need.
Wait, what?
Hey everyone, post-editing Xbus here. I actually completed this challenge over 18 months ago. Actually, it's been over 2 years, what the hell? But I never truly felt satisfied with what I had. So, a few script revisions and other videos later, I was finally satisfied with the result and released this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next one, so thanks for watching, and as always, have a great day.
I'm a scat man.